one of the things that we struggle with, what women struggle with, is this relationship going anywhere? Is he taking this seriously?
If you're a woman, you want to know if the guy's taking you seriously, consider these 5 things.
Thank you so much for tuning into Second Act TV. Once again, I want to welcome back our very own Guys Guy, Robert Manni, the host of Guys Guy Radio and the author of the Guys Guy's Guide to Love. A great gift, by the way. Robert, thank you so much for joining us again.
My pleasure to return to my favorite YouTube show, Second Act TV. Silka, thanks for having me back.
You know, we discuss a lot of articles, that I find, and I found a great article that you're really going to love. And that is 5 signs he's taking the relationship seriously. And do you know who the author is?
I do.
Robert. I can't believe I haven't come across this before. This is a great article that pertains so much to what our viewers, what one of the things that we struggle with, what women struggle with, is this relationship going anywhere? Is he taking this seriously? And well, as the title implies, here's five things that absolutely imply that or show that, yeah, he's taking it seriously. Number 1 here, you have he takes himself off the dating sites. I hadn't really thought about that, certainly not in a long time, but that's a big deal.
I was just reading an article, and I think it was a New York Post, or whatever, about how people in their 20s nowadays, where they can't get into relationships because there's just so many options. Now, that nothing's changed. But for that generation, it seems like it's more and more and more. At a certain point, you have to say, what do I want? I think people fall into the deep end of the online dating pool and they don't realize, why am I on here in the first place? Is it to date? Great. If it's to date and you want to meet a lot of people, perfect place to be, because you can sit in the home if you're a guy in your tidy whities, you can meet a lot of hot women. If you want a relationship, though, at a certain point, you have to say, well, how do I build a relationship if I'm following up with all of these different women? And if you're a woman, same thing, all these different guys coming at me. So you have to take yourself off. At a certain point, when I met my wife, she was on Match.com for a free 3-day trial. She winked at me. I wrote back. We went back and forth, and then we went out for a little bit. And then she said, I see you're still on Match.com. What are you doing there? I said, well, you must be on there if you saw me. Yeah. But anyhow, but
good point.
That's interesting point on her part. And she said, well, why don't we not be on there and see how the relationship works? And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then we can go on and meet all these people we can meet. And I said, you know what? That's an interesting concept that I hadn't thought about. Let me give it a try. And here we are, married over a decade. So it really is important to determine what am I doing here? And then if you want to give it a try, you want to give it a shot, and you meet somebody who checks a lot of the boxes, well, take yourself off.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work out, you can go back on, but at least give it a chance, because how can you really give a relationship an opportunity to succeed if you're distracted by so many other opportunities out there?
Yeah. And when you first do this, you don't realize really what a big gesture that is taking yourself off. Once you're into it, and what you also don't realize is how hurtful that can be to a woman. We're talking to women here today. If, you think you're in a relationship and then you see him on the side. So as a woman, if your guy's taking himself off, maybe even have a conversation about it, that means he's pretty serious about the relationship. So that's point 1. He asks you to go on vacation with him, on any vacation, like even a weekend trip or something. But he's basically, saying that he's planning ahead and he wants to spend some sort of extended time with you. Is that how you would see it?
I think it's even, if you have to get on a plane and go someplace for a week or something, that's big. That's huge. And even if it's a weekend, you can get through it with anybody probably, but I think if it's more of you have to do the prep, you have to decide where you're going, then you have to live with that person for a week out of a suitcase, and I think that makes a big difference in a relationship. And for a guy, hey, I'm going to be with her for a week or whatever, in some foreign place or whatever. That's a committed type of move where you're saying, I really I want to explore the next level of being with you. Can
Yeah.
we do an adventure together? I mean, I had a beach house when I was back in lived back east, and I used to bring women down there for the weekend all the time. That was not a big deal to me. That was not like traveling.
Hmm.
But getting on a plane and going like with my wife, we went to the Dominican Republic and we had some adventures there. That was a big deal. And the fact that I would say I'm going to go to this, another country and go with you, and we're going to spend a week there. That's a big
Hmm.
deal with somebody new. And it actually, in this particular case, it brought us together. That
Hmm.
sealed the deal for us. And it can work that way. Or you can realize, oh my God, I can't,
Yeah.
like, I didn't realize, I didn't know this.
Well, that's funny. That would be a whole other topic, but sleeping habits is huge to that you need to get used to before you go on down
Even in the
relationship
same
road.
bed, because
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
people don't even sleep in the same bed or the same room or the same home,
Right,
right?
right, right. So lots of things to consider there. He wants to introduce you to his squad. Now, what do you mean by squad? Like his friends, his family,
Yeah.
people, his close circle, right?
Yeah, and I think that's important because then you're bringing somebody and saying, this is somebody I want your stamp of approval on. I, maybe I didn't phrase that correctly. This is somebody I wanted. This is an important person for me, and
Hmm.
I'm introducing her to you guys because this is somebody I want to be with. And like,
Yeah.
if they come back and say, "Oh my God, what are you crazy?" You might listen, but if it's somebody that you really have feelings for,
Hmm.
it's a sign of it's a check mark subconsciously for the relationship, in that I'm introducing this person to my friend to expand the club, if you will. And
Yeah.
that's the intention. It's a good thing. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, you made the grade. It's a good thing in that we're expanding the club. Let's look at it that
Hmm.
way. You want to have more friends and as part of it, and they can relate to each other and have their own type of back and forth. And that can be a really good thing. But it's important because if you live in a big city like I lived in New York when I was
Hmm.
dating all the time, I didn't bring anybody that I went on 2 dates with to meet my friends. They had to, like, okay, we're really vibing. Then it would be okay. Let's go
Yeah.
out. I'm getting together with the guys. Let's go. Let's go together and see how it works out. And
Hmm.
fortunately, everybody's always been nice, and it's been a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
but it might
I
not be,
yeah, I
right?
think that women maybe don't quite realize how important, what a big step that is. So do,
It
take
is.
that seriously. I remember when Paul first took me to his golf tournament, because he has a long time of, like, for 35 years now, has had a golf tournament. And I remember the first time he took me that I knew, yeah, he wanted me to be part of it, because that's like his big thing in his life. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are definite signs that this relationship is
And that's a
going
good
somewhere.
point, Silka, because you knew that was a big thing for him,
Right.
and that's important. And it's so you were aware of that wow,
Hmm.
he's been doing this a long time, he's inviting me.
Right.
That's a big deal. Now,
Right.
it might not be a big deal to you to go to somebody's whatever golf tournament thing, but it was a
Right.
big deal because it was a
To
big
go to
deal, a
his.
relationship of the relationship.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great example of what we're trying to communicate here. He invites you home for a holiday. That's different than going on vacation. So I guess at our age, it's maybe visiting the kids for the holiday.
It could be. In any case, it's important because that's
Hmm.
like another level where of intimacy in terms of the relationship, friends and family, and then you're exposing your partner to all the dysfunction of your family, which we all have. And it could be a very nice experience, or they could realize,
Yeah.
wow, what a bunch of weirdos, and that
Hmm.
happens also. But it's a big
Yeah.
step, I think, when you get introduced to the family, and the family's going to think, wow, this must be somebody important to him or her because they're coming
They,
to our holiday get together. That's a big
hmm.
deal.
Hmm.
That means
Yeah.
potential keeper there.
Yeah, the family thing is really important. As you referenced, it can uncover things that maybe you need to know, don't want to know.
Right.
There's a lot of people that won't. That one of the reasons they keep you from family or kids is because they're hesitant to invite you, because the crazy uncles, the crazy family. So
Right.
yeah, that is a big part. And if you go, understand that if this relationship goes forward, this is all going to be part of your life, and how am I going to deal with that? Do I really want that?
Right.
So
Hmm.
yeah, big step there. Finally, I love this. He pays attention. I don't know if we consciously think about that is actually a huge sign for a man that he's interested and wants to go forward.
Well, that's I think it's the most important step out of these five. I
Yeah.
think if the guy pays attention or not. I had to learn by being reminded by my wife. We went out the first couple of dates, and I said, "Wow, I'm having a great time." And I've been in a lot of other relationships, some long
Mhm.
term, and here I am. I'm single still, so I'm just curious. What do I need to do to be a good boyfriend? And forgive me, I've told this story on other episodes, but she put her fork down and she looked at me and she said, "Pay attention."
Right.
And I said, "Is there anything else I need to do?" And she said, "No." And that really struck a chord with me because something that I, as a guy, never thought about. Like, oh, I pay attention, but I thought, like most guys, we pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to us. We don't pay
Mm-hmm.
attention as well as women do. Just the way it is. Women pay attention to the little. They're aware of the little details, how the guy, his mood, this and that. A lot of time, guys, they're just rolling through, and they're not being bad or anything. They're just like they're in their own world, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really important if you want to make a relationship, give it a good chance of working, is to pay attention to your partner. See if she's having a tough day. Ask her what's going on. How are you today? How are you feeling? What happened with this? What happened with that? Don't try to solve all the problems. Just listen. Okay. And it'll start to become part
Yeah.
of you. And
Yeah.
that's a really good thing. So I learned and I'm still working on it, but it's a really good thing. And I'm glad I
Yeah.
did.
No, that's a huge point. And I think a lot of men don't realize how important that is, that if you just pay a little attention or show, I think like you said, oh, this was, oh yeah, that's right, you drink this wine, don't you? Or, hey, I got this, whatever. It's the little
Right.
details that you actually listen to. What's interesting about these points, Robert, we're talking today to women, that if he, the guy in your life, is doing this, that yeah, he's interested, he wants to go forward in a relationship, but this could almost be rewritten, maybe you should do that. That here's what you do if you want to show a woman that you're interested in her, if you want, without
Mm-hmm.
talking about this, but just what can men do to show,
Mm-hmm.
a woman, or to move that along with, in an unconscious way, perhaps. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, it works both ways for sure. I just did it this way. I
Yeah.
think the truisms are there, which whatever way it's served up. That if you see these five things happening, you know that you're being considered for, you know, to be number one, if you will,
Yeah.
and one and only. And that's a
Yeah.
if
Well,
you're interested, that's a good thing.
yes, it's almost like if you're thinking about taking yourself off a dating site, you're interested in this woman. It's almost
Absolutely.
like waking up the guy, if you want to go on vacation with her, you're
Yeah.
you're interested more than you know.
Yeah.
You want to introduce her to your friends, boy, you're going down that way. Inviting to home for a holiday with the family, and then just find yourself paying attention, that you're really interested in what this woman has to say. That's a message to yourself, talking to the
Yes.
men now, that
Hmm.
you are interested, when you might, you probably said, oh, I'm not even looking for love, yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So anyway, lots of different ways to look at this. Robert, we're starting to come to the end. What else can we say here that maybe has changed since you wrote this article?
I think it's more true than ever that some of these simple tenets they stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And in dating, I don't think, regardless of the technology, regardless of how fast things move, I think if you're a woman, you want to know if the guy's taking you seriously, consider these five things. If you're a guy,
Yeah.
you want to consider, am I taking her seriously? And how can I make the relationship work the best it can be? Do the
Mm-hmm.
first four and then start paying attention. If you did anything, if you're a guy out of this, those are logistics. But number five is the one. He pays attention. Start paying attention to your prospective partner, and you'll see that the prospective partner, if you want and she wants, will turn into a partnership a lot faster than if you don't. If you just think about yourself.
Robert, thank you. We'll link to all of your information as usual. Your radio show, Guys Guy Radio, also now on UK Health Radio all over the world. We'll have the links, of course, in the show notes. Love the book right there. That's how I found you.
Mhm.
Makes a great gift. So, again, thank you so much for being part of this show, for giving us all this great advice. And I look forward to our next conversation on
Me
Second
too.
Act.
Thank you so much, Silka. Bye, everybody.